Okay. Good morning. How do I click
Use the arrow button to go down.
that's your goodness. Okay, good morning. Those in person and online to our DPAC meeting. Arrow. There we go. Good morning, welcome. So we have two language available in Spanish or in English. To select a language, please click on the global icon and select the language of your choice. We do have an interpreter.
Yes, Dan's on the line.
We have Dan who will be translating for us. Thank you, Dan. Event recording notice. This virtual event will be recorded and may be published for your public viewing on the LESD website and YouTube channel. If you don't wish to be recorded, participants could turn off their camera and rename themselves. My name is Daniela. I'm Vice President. Our president and our secretary couldn't make it today, but so we'll see them next week or our following meeting. And for those here, now we're going to take the time to introduce ourselves, what school, what grade our child's in, what is something great happening at your school right now. So we'll just take a couple minutes and share in person and on chat.
Mostly in chat, or we're going to interview our one friend, but you can introduce yourself to us.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mariana Morataya. I have 4 kids at Billy Mitchell, 5th, 3rd, 1st, and kinder. I actually have 2 in the STC program. And something exciting that's happening right now is the Rams Readers program. We're encouraging kids to read and even practice that at home as well.
Oh, welcome.
Thank you.
We have Ashley Gates. She says she has a kinder in Mark Twain and trick or treat night is tomorrow. That's exciting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
And Smith does have its Red Ribbon Week going on this week.
Yes,
And
and
we
then
have
on
our
Saturday we
treat
have our trunk or treat.
on Saturday. Anybody else want to share from school and what's happening?
I'm a parent as well. My son goes to William Green and they're having lights on after school wrap. They're gonna have a NPR, like a walkthrough. I think that students did some drawings, so it'll be Thursday. So take a look at that.
And I know Adams went on science.
Yeah, Adams went to science camp. They're currently there. They'll be back today. And then we are also celebrating the Red Ribbon Week. We're doing like mummy wraps during lunch and team competitions and just like a lot of fun incentives. And
Who gets wrapped as a
Kids.
mummy? Does the teachers or is
Yeah.
it students?
we usually do the teachers. So we have a volunteer and the students are the ones that wrap. And we do team competitions. So it's a lot of fun for the kids. Yeah.
You already did that or?
It's today.
Oh, it's it.
Today we're gonna do that, and then we do like pledges throughout like the days. We do like little like red ribbons and posters on pledging to stay drug free and all of that's fun stuff during lunch. So every lunch we have something going on
Wow.
during the week.
We have another parent on the chat. She says Griselda Vigil. 2 sons at Billy Mitchell, TK and first grade, dual immersion. Looking forward to the festival on Friday. Fall festival?
Oh.
Yeah, it is fun. So I don't know if you can see it if you're on Zoom, but Daniela's background is my background, but that was my attempt at doing Halloween / fall festival / Dia de los Muertos on my computer. So I don't know who can see it, but anyway, that was
I saw it and loved it.
Aw, thank you. I wanted to get into the spirit with the fall festivities.
So for the agenda today, New information, Family University Parent Volunteer Updates. Title review of services, the uniform complaint procedures, SSC reports from each school.
School fell off.
Follow-ups, goals for 2023-24, and progress made so far. Do this one.
Would you like me to step in now and?
Oh, no,
do the updates, or would you like to do the updates?
Okay. The Family University Volunteer Fair updates. Volunteer Fair, we had 117 parents participate, over 90 TB tests completed. Live scan appointments continue. Last one was October 13th. The next one will be October 27th. Onboarding sessions for in-school volunteers being scheduled. Improvements for our next volunteer fair, more TB serum appointments, and a larger space.
And those were improvements collected from our DPAC meeting and various and sundry parents who shared that with me. Does this group have any suggestions for improvement going forward? The goal was to make becoming a volunteer easier. I think we achieved that partway. It wasn't perfect, but we made some good headway. We would like to continue to improve. So if there are other things that you think might be helpful, feel free to share them right now.
If you got any feedback from your schools, from parents?
Yes, we have a hand up. Griselda Vigil, you can go ahead and speak.
Hi, good morning. I attended the volunteer fair, and as a working parent, when I attended, it made it very difficult for myself to, when I arrived and signed up, I was already in a long line of other people waiting there. I'm wondering if there's a way that we can maybe schedule some appointments so that parents already know. I had to take time off in the morning to be able to attend the session. And I just, within the time that I had taken off, I wasn't even halfway through the numbers that was assigned to me. So just thinking through that piece, if there could be a possibility of just maybe signing up ahead of time so that you as a parent know what time to kind of come in. Just a suggestion.
Thank you. Yes, and I've heard that from many parents. So our hope is next time. I think part of it is Providence was pleasantly surprised at how many parents showed up. That is not typical. Other organizations have said, I've got 30 volunteers, and they race over and they have 2 parents waiting to get their TB test. So they felt pretty confident that 60 was enough. And we surprised them. So, and the appointment thing I think is valid. And so what we are, now that we have Parent Square and we can RSVP, we're going to try that for the next one, which we are contemplating doing another in the spring semester. And we will try that out to make sure that if you come for TB, you can get TB within a reasonable time period. So thank you.
Is there a possibility where, we have parents working, maybe they're off at 5, do a evening or late afternoon-ish?
It depends on our partner Providence and when they're able to staff us. So we were able to get them during the school day this time. I know in previous iterations, parents had asked for Saturdays and such, and that wasn't something we were able to accomplish this time. It's not off the table. We also have our wellness center that's opening sometime near the end of this month, beginning of November. And that's a possibility for evening things. So that we're inching our way towards that.
There's a comment in the chat from Stephanie Ruiz. She says, I believe we were not expecting that much people at the event, and I believe a little more organization in guiding parents what to do next.
Indeed. As I said, this was our maiden voyage, and we learned many things that we could do better. So yes, I think volunteers who made it through, you won't need to come back, but should you come check it out, you might be pleasantly surprised at our next one.
questions on? Okay. Okay, Family University PBIS, and then Parent Square, iReady Math and Reading is new this year. Okay.
Yes, I've been working with the representatives from iReady, and we have a tentative date in November. We're just confirming that so that parents can come to a workshop. We are looking at a daytime in person and an evening virtual for anyone who wants to learn about the iReady reports that you'll be getting for your students, how to support your children, what the My Path looks like, and how those lessons help your kids. So that is coming. Parent Square trainings are coming for those who are still not connected or struggling to use it. Boy, she's speeding me up. I better hurry.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
How do I go?
You're going forward. You want to go backwards. So go the other direction.
Oh,
That's okay. You're just working through. You're giving everybody a
Sorry.
teaser of where we're going today. That's okay. I can help you get back to the beginning.
somewhere.
It's
There
all,
it is.
the good news is that it's here. Oh, there you go. Yeah. Let's go back. So those are things that are coming. PBIS 101 was yesterday. We had an English and a Spanish session. Small turnout, but we did have parents come. It was in person. Parenting in the digital world right now is happening at the elementary school sites for the children. Unfortunately, the one scheduled for last night had to be postponed because the vendor was not able to fulfill that obligation. So we're rescheduling. But on November, I think it's November 6th, we'll be having the parent talk for the truth about vaping, marijuana, and fentanyl. That will be at Rogers Middle School. We hope we get a whole bunch of parents there because both the parenting in the digital world and the truth about vaping, et cetera, those are two of the most challenging issues we're facing at our school sites. Administrators spend an unbelievable amount of time working with kids, helping them understand that what you posted is not okay, or dealing with cyberbullying, or confiscating vaping paraphernalia. It's going to be very eye-opening for parents. I have a 15-year-old. I want to know what's happening. So I really encourage you to come. As soon as we have the parenting in the digital world rescheduled, we'll post that. But please, if you can, those and the vendor, which is Cyber Safety Cop, they want those in person because they have the organization are former sheriffs. They come, they want to connect with parents. They really want to talk with you directly about what these things mean and the surprising things that parents learn when their child's suddenly in trouble and they had no idea that this was happening or that it could even happen. And they'll walk us through how do you change the settings on your child's phone or their computer so they can't access these things. So it's huge. And they are sending, the reason we had to cancel yesterday because their Spanish presenter couldn't come. Because we have one room dedicated to a Spanish presenter for Spanish speaking families. Then we have a different room for English speaking parents by an English presenter. We felt it was important that everybody heard it in the language that is most comfortable for them. And when they couldn't send their Spanish presenter, we were not going to hold it just for English speaking families. So that's why we've rescheduled, but spread the word. It's going to be, it's really good. I mean, it's not fun and it's sort of scary, but it's important.
We have
And sorry.
there's a Carrie Dye Sedmac. I wanted to be there, but my youngest was home. PBIS should be virtual as well.
Yes. And I believe they are going to offer another session virtually. They were going to do one last night, but because we had Cyber Safety Cop, they opted not to do a virtual and then we lost cyber safety. You get it. So we'll figure that out. You will get that.
It's just a really good program that I think a lot of parents would take more advantage of and probably need very badly right now. Post-COVID, obviously, is a struggle, I think, for a lot of parents that they just don't know where to go for any assistance that, you know, could help with their kids' mental health. So,
Yeah,
just-
thank you for that reminder. Yes, we will get on that because yes, it is important for all of us. Right? We're all-
yeah, good point.
Yeah, I highly recommend attending the workshop. I went last year and there's apps that they show you that I wasn't aware of or other parents weren't aware of, where kids could hide certain features from parents. And yeah, so it's really interesting just to learn and know how to navigate your kids' social media, you know, the whole world. And we had our deputy come and speak about fentanyl too, and interesting how kids could hide things.
I don't know if any of your, because I know they were at Smith yesterday. I forget the two other sides. But I know the, one of the like shocker moments for the kids is they show, well, you can say it better, but who they think they're talking to.
Yeah, I happened to walk in a little bit too. Like, this is so-and-so, like it was a female name, but then when they showed who it was a older man who they were actually speaking to. And then I just got to hear to let the students know not to add anyone who they do not know on their social media. And then they also, there was a question asked, like, for example, people can come and say like, they know a common name and they will be like, oh, you know, so-and-so. And then, but how can you differentiate? Well, the student's not gonna have the same last name. But if you ask for Jose, well, you know, how many Joses will there be? That's what.
And they pretend to be or sound like they're teenagers or at
Yeah.
their level, like, hey, bro, sup? You know, so,
Right.
so yeah, it happened to my son. So we had to navigate, you know, he thought it was his friend. It wasn't his friend. But we showed him before, like, hey, you know, be careful what you're sending or who you're responding to. If you see something not right or fishy, come and tell us. So he did, and we stopped it before it got too crazy. So it happens. And it's scary.
Tell your friends, tell your SSC, tell your PTA, tell your, all the parents you know. It's a very valuable workshop. And we are holding it in person, and we've purchased the recording of the session that we will be granted access to afterwards. So for anyone who can't make it, we will post the videos in English and in Spanish. But I highly encourage, if you can, come for the in-person.
Any more questions on the chat or in person? Welcome, Cindy.
Okay. Would you like me to take that part? Okay, we're just going to change seats for those of you in the virtual audience. So I wanted to bring to you our Title IV plan. First, to help you understand what is Title IV, where does it come from, what does it do? And you'll see some nice connections with some of the things we've just been talking about. Title IV, they're federal funds. We've talked in the past how we have the LCAP, which are our state funds. Then on top of that, we receive Title I funds. You on school site councils, you oversee Title I, right? That's the funding for improvements for students who are struggling, for instructional aids, for the programs, the math, family nice things that you do at site. Title III are funds that we give to our English learners on top of that. Title IV are for all students. They have very specific areas that Title IV is meant to serve. So I wanted to share with you, there's 3 buckets of work within Title IV. There's the well-rounded educational opportunities, safe and healthy students, and integrating technology in education. So I wanted to share with you what we have been doing thus far. So within well-rounded educational opportunities, that's where we have been funding the library visits that you get the ads, invitations from Erin Blood Johnson, our head library media tech, who brings in diverse authors that reflect our student body and bring in the books for our kids and help us diversify our library so that we have books that represent children that come to our schools. It's also how we fund our summer reading books that we send home with the children. And in addition, we have added GATE programming, one of them being the Mad Science contract for our GATE students, because we have funding in our LCAP for GATE students for identification, for testing, for training of teachers. This is supplemental on top to help with that, because we have heard from our GATE task force that we need more programming for our GATE students. This is one way we can supplement with these funds. That's one bucket. The second bucket is safe and healthy students. And this is where we have allocated the majority of our funds, because in listening to our parents, our administrators, in looking at the survey results from the California Healthy Kids Survey, from the staff survey that was done at the end of last year, from the parent survey that was done, student safety is high on our lists of concerns. Both mental health, how do we support them with positive behavior, parenting in the digital world, vaping, all of those things. And we were trying in last year at the middle schools also to fill unstructured time with structured activities. So during the lunch break, we contracted with Alevo to provide structured basketball coaching, academic like activities, puzzles, things like that to keep, because if kids are busy, they don't get into trouble. They're not busy, things can happen. So we put money there. We were paying for the cyber safety cop programs here. We're also adding on to the PBIS, like the parent workshop that we did yesterday, to ensure that all parents feel empowered, all kids feel empowered to make good decisions, to get help when it's needed. And we as parents and staff are empowered in understanding cyber safety, understanding how to head off and prevent tragedy with vaping, marijuana, fentanyl for our kids. So that's been a huge one. And the third bucket of work is effective use of technology. So this is where we've offered the opportunity to our teachers to get Google certified. Because as you know, when we went virtual, our teachers had to learn how to be virtual the day before the kids showed up for class, right? So that was a heavy lift. So they have been offered the opportunity to get Google certified, which enables them to use digital tools much more effectively to support our kids, whether we're virtual or in person. Technology is now just part of how we do business. So that is helping them. This also is funding and supporting our maker spaces at the school sites. I know Mitchell's here. I know you're big in the maker space there. And actually every site now has one. Some are at varying stages of development, but that's a big one. And then we have to train our teachers. And, I didn't get trained in how to build robots, and, we didn't have robots when I was trained as a teacher. So how do we do that? It's called CS First, which is the coding training that we're doing for our 4th and 5th graders. We have Lego training and for the younger kids. So there's a lot of technology that we're trying to bring in to make our classrooms match 21st century. So that is where Title IV, where we have put those funds. So I wanted, one, to inform you of that, and then two, to ask for your feedback on that. Because we are trying to be responsive to, we have the LCAP meetings, we have our meetings, we hear the things that you're asking for, we give out the surveys. This is where we start to make these decisions. My question to you is, one, is it shocking? Like, I had no idea. Or two, are there things that you still see that we haven't responded to that might fit in these buckets? Because these are the buckets you have to do. Technology, well-rounded education, and safe and healthy students, which is where we've put the majority of the funding. And we've blessedly, wonderfully have student support services now as a partner. So they run that part, and then Ed Services handles well-rounded education and technology integration.
Dan just messaged if you could speak a little slower.
Oh, okay. At least I'm loud. I'm just fast. Okay, so I'll slow down. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
I'm always reminded of that. Yes.
Go ahead, Gisela, and answer your question.
When I
Hi.
see Griselda has a question.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. This is my first time in this space, so I'm not sure if this is where to voice it or not. And I'm hearing this about Title IV, a plan. And before Miss Gillette, I'm a parent from Billy Mitchell. Before Miss Gillette left, I had been in conversation with her for a while. I've been a STEM teacher for TK through 6th grade for 10+ years.
No.
And I've been a big proponent of getting something kind of like Project Lead the Way on the campus. And I had started that conversation with Miss Gillette. I had introduced her to the partners that I used to work with, because I'm Project Lead the Way trained myself. And for those families that are not here in this space who don't know what Project Lead the Way is, it's a very There's different kinds of curriculums, but there's a biomedical pathway, there's a computer science and a robotics pathway, and you can start even at the age of TK. And it has so many potential. And I've worked with Project Lead the Way, where they actually offer grants and they offer opportunities specifically in the computer science pathway. And we were considering starting something at Billy Mitchell, and I know she had brought it up to the superintendent. And I don't know where that left off because she unfortunately left the school, and we currently have an interim principal in place. So I'm not sure how to proceed with this piece, because I think this would be very important in terms of effective use of technology. I'm really a big proponent of students starting to learn the computer language, given how the environment and the global market is changing. I work right now in a district where we're talking about AI technology with students. And so I want to be able to see that more on our campuses. So I wanted to bring this up to this space and see what we can do to potentially bring something that's makerspace is great, but I'm wondering how we can embed this more into the curriculum piece, like during the day-to-day with our students.
Right. You can contact me. We can talk about this since I oversee Title IV funding. And I partner with Anne Marie Moad, who is our 21st Century Learning Coordinator in Ed Services. So
Okay,
is
great.
this Griselda?
Yes.
And we've already connected about other things like community schools.
Correct. I help manage community schools at my district where I work at. So that's another piece where I would love to help this school if they're interested in going that route with finding that funding. And that funding can also help support projects like Project Lead the Way.
Wonderful. Okay, I will follow up with you.
Yep.
I have your email. Thank you. That's wonderful.
I also want to, good morning, Ms. Vigil. Good morning, Dr. Kane. If I can just interrupt the meeting, I wanted to just let Ms. Vigil know that Ms. Gillette had spoken with me before she had left, and I am familiar with Project Lead the Way. I think it is a wonderful program. Everything you've said is absolutely correct. You can imagine when it comes up for the first time, or, you know, we have these kinds of conversations, we think about the feasibility about it just happening at one site versus another site, and kind of concepts of pilot programs, those kinds of things. Those conversations hadn't really happened. So I do want you to know that Ms. Gillette did bring it up. You know, it's just right in the very, very beginnings of that kind of conversation. But I do thank you for offering to serve as a resource, especially since you have a direct experience with an implementation in an elementary school. So like Dr. Kane said, you know, just be in touch with her, and we can start to think about what that path of creating more understanding would be. Basically, we're at the awareness stage right now, and just see how it would work. So appreciate you raising your hand for that.
Yeah, no, definitely happy to help as much as possible as a parent who's interested to see my kids. I've seen the power of it, what it has, and how it's changed the way that students think about STEM. So I'm just very excited about that and wanting to bring that to my son's campus and as well. Thank you.
For those, Tracy, sorry, I can't see who's here. I didn't realize you were here, but for those of you who don't know, that was Tracy Pomelia, our Assistant Superintendent of Ed Services. Maybe you can see her on Zoom. I can't. Thank you, Tracy, for joining. Okay, other questions? Hello, Mr. Sunny.
So I have a couple questions regarding like how much money we're talking about, and like specifically how much is being put into these different kind of buckets.
Sure.
So again, like I think I would love to know exactly, right? Like how much are we spending in these like particular buckets? So that way, right, we can look at it and go, okay, yeah, I think, yeah, we need to put a lot of money into this, or there's a lot of money in that. I think parents would like the opportunity to be able to give that feedback. The other part in looking at kind of the lists of what is being provided by Title IV funding, I would love for parents to be able to get access or to have a sense of what is happening. I think the communication piece is missing. So I know we have a makerspace. I know we have makerspace lead teachers. I have no idea what is happening in makerspace at all. I know they have Lego stuff, the Lego spike things. Apparently they're doing CS first stuff, but I haven't seen any of it. I haven't seen any of it come home. I haven't seen any messages. And I think at all the different levels, right? Like I imagine the TK and the kinder and the first are doing different sets of things, but we don't really know what it is that they're doing or how we could be encouraging them or how well they're doing. So I think that's definitely something that would be really helpful, I think, for parents to know, because I don't know, I'm pretty well informed and I don't know what's happening in there. So I can't imagine that I can imagine that the vast majority of parents are like, they go to makerspace. Oh, it was fun. We played with Legos. All right, it'd be great to know, I think, a little bit more about that. And in terms of, sorry, I'm looking at the other pieces. I'm glad to see that there's money being put into some more gate programming. Again, love to have more details on that. But I think it'd be great for us to, again, be able to see the pieces and know, like, actually there's going to be there's gate funding for all grades. I think historically they've focused more on the elementary school in 3 little slots. For makerspace, I think historically it was maybe once every 3 weeks, maybe once every 4 weeks. It was like as needed. I think it's more structured now, but I don't know what that looks like. So I think, again, just even communicating it out or putting it on Parent Square, right? Just a little mini blast. I don't think we need a full-on detailed, like, this is what we did in class today, but these are the things that we've been doing, and here's how you can encourage your kids to do this at home, or here's the logins for these things. I think that would help to foster this beyond just during that short period.
Yeah, there's a few things to unpack there, but
Yes.
the beautiful thing about just the communications part is to your right, 2 seats over, we have Liliana Martinez, our Director of Communications, who is helping us launch all of this communication so that we can be better about keeping informed. We also have the community liaison team here who also spearhead that, and that's a very good topic. I think in our meeting yesterday with Liliana and the community liaisons, we try to balance how much to message, when to message. I think we were concerned Friday, we had just bombarded you with like 9 different things. And it's like, so we're trying to figure out the timing. So yes, all your points, very valid. And school, I think at the school level, that'd be great to teachers to share, hey, we went in the makerspace today. This is what we did. This is the standard it addresses. We're actually doing the science standard and this mathematics standard. And, this is how it all pulls together. And that's why we're doing it. It wasn't playing with Legos. We were working on this concept, right, of learning. So we can do a better job of that, for sure. Along with the gate as well, like what is happening, where is it happening, for whom is it happening, all of those things. I think sometimes we're so fast doing that we forget to communicate what we're doing and why. And then to back up to your original question about Title IV funding. So Title IV funding came into play only a few years ago. It depends on the federal government and what they offer, but it's based on our Title I funds, but we get around $100,000 a year for this to allocate across the entire district. And you must put 20% in each bucket, minimum 20%. So if I have $100,000, I have to put at least $20,000 in each bucket. And then we can augment one that we think is potentially more important. Based on our needs and what we were seeing, the need seems to be in safe and healthy students right now. So we put 60% in there, and we're doing the 20 and the 20 in well-rounded and technology. That can change over time with feedback. This is why we do the surveys, and we look and see how are kids doing, and we look at behavioral trends and suspension, all of that stuff, mental health, to see where we do that, because Title IV really is about supporting our kids more the whole child than teaching language arts, and we're teaching math, and that's it, and that's all we care about. It's more about, again, whole child, most social, emotional, as well as other types of activities. So thank you for that. We can definitely be more more open and transparent about how that all works. Yeah.
Go ahead, Carrie, you can go and answer your question.
Oh, I was just gonna say, similar to with the GATE program and the social emotional support for those families, and just giving more opportunities for them to feel supported and to feel like they have some resources in terms of, you know, just giving their child what they need to succeed. Because I think a lot of other districts do that like on a daily basis, and it's something that we could do better and in a sooner amount of time, because they're only there, you know, for a short amount of time, especially in middle school. And it seems like it's just not happening. So any like,
That they do that on a daily basis. What is that?
give opportunities for support, like, you know, where
Mental health support, you mean? Social emotional?
not, yeah, kind of like just kind of factoring that into the process of educating them. Not just, you know, not just the fact that they're GATE kids, but that is a huge part of why they're GATE kids, if that makes sense. At least when I went to the conference, that was a huge part of the focus of the conference. And so just wanted to add that in there, I guess.
The social emotional needs of GATE students?
Or yeah, evolve students, of course, but yes, particularly, yeah. And just how it factors into how they learn and how they can be supported and given in, you know, enrichment opportunities and ways to basically tap into that part of them that is special. So that's all.
Great, thank you. Thank you for the clarification. Other questions or comments in-house or in the chat world? Okay, then with your permission, I'm going to move along. There's a couple other things we want to cover today. One is, and I shared this at the DPAC meeting, and I just want to make sure that we're required to make sure that everybody understands. So I wanted to make sure it came to this meeting as well. Our uniform complaint procedures, so that you know what they are and how they operate. So what is this, right? So essentially, we are, as a school district, required to follow federal and state laws, right? And the uniform complaint process is a way where a parent or a staff member could file a complaint if they witness or experience discrimination, harassment, intimidation, bullying, etc. And there's a longer list, which I'm going to walk you through. Just so you know, our UCP compliance officer is Dr. Lisa Cooper, who's our assistant superintendent of human resources, who is here. Oh, we're missing a 0. You know the zip, you know the preface for our phone numbers here, 310. You know how to reach her. But let me go into a little more detail here. So it applies, the uniform complaint procedure applies to after school education and safety, consolidated categorical aid programs. What does that mean? Title I, Title II, Title III, Title IV. My child's an English learner. My child should be receiving English language development. If your child's not receiving English language development, that would be a concern. That would be something a parent would raise, right? Discrimination, harassment, intimidation, we talked about. Every Student Succeeds Act, the local control and accountability plan. You know, if you see that we've shared with you our local accountability plan and those things are not happening, that would be something someone might raise a complaint about. I'm not seeing this. But it doesn't cover all things, right? It doesn't, you don't file a uniform complaint procedure because you don't like the teacher your child was assigned to, or the grade your child received. Or it is not an avenue to say, you know, I'm not happy with our custodian at our school site. I'd like to see him fired. That's not what we're talking about. This is not the lane. Uniform complaint is about federal policy not being enforced in our district. If you have issues like this, you go to the teacher, you go to the principal, you have a conversation, right? Homework policies, discipline, whatever, that's, that's personal, that's in-house, that's with your school site. The uniform complaint procedure is, I went to the school site and we couldn't resolve it, and I feel like this is discrimination, or I feel like this is, my child's not getting the services that they are entitled to. So it's a serious level up of a complaint. And we do have those forms on our website. You can go to our website. Hopefully this will work. If you go to, it's under HR, district forms, uniform complaint forms, the procedure, how it works, and then the form is here both in English and Spanish. And it's fairly simple. Who am I? Which of the programs do I have a complaint about? You write your explanation, you attach any supporting documentation, and you sign it. Okay, each school, and that has definitions of all these different things in case you need the reference. Each school has those forms. You can request one in the front office, or you could go straight to the website, you could fill it out. And then Dr. Cooper is charged with following up and resolving whatever that complaint might be. So we want to make sure that you are aware that you have these rights and that there is a pathway if you're seeing that things are not happening as they should.
If I can add to that, Dr. Kane, I think it's really important for all of us to know that first things that we always try to do is try to work with the people. So when you have a complaint, or if you have something that you're not satisfied with, you'll want to, if it's with something going on in the classroom, you'll want to talk with the teacher, and then you want to talk with the people, maybe your community liaison, to help you kind of figure out what to do next. And these uniform complaint procedures are really meant for you to understand that if your complaints and you are not satisfied with the complaint and how we are supporting you in with the problem or the complaint that you're having, this is a process for you to be able to know that this is what you do. It's kind of like not the first thing necessarily that you would do. You would probably go to somebody first. And if it's a clear violation of something that happened right away, and it's right at that very beginning, it could serve as a uniform complaint, and we would follow the uniform complaint procedures. But not all complaints are part of the uniform complaint. So you can still not be happy with something, and you can still come and talk to us and talk to your teacher and everything like that. And we will still do everything we can to work with you to make sure that you are, that we're working together to problem solve. I hope that that helps clarify any questions that sometimes have come to me in the past.
Inside, outside? Right, carry on. So the next part, I'm going to turn over to our illustrious Vice President, but really wanted to use these last 15 minutes to talk about what's happening with your school site councils, right? We've just entered the season. If you're sitting on school site council, you've had your first meeting, you might have had elections, you approved your school plan to go to the board for approval. Now you're starting to get into the weeds, like, okay, what are we doing? How do we get this going? So I'm curious about how that's going for you. If you have questions, if there are things you're not understanding, that's what this is for, so that you can go back and inform your teams. And then ultimately too is, goals that you have that you're seeing or you're talking about at your school site that you'd like to do. But I'm going to step away from the mic and give that to Daniela to facilitate that. But I really would like to know, unmuting yourself and letting us know, or typing it in the chat, or speaking in person here, how's your school site council going? This is the forum.
You can have a meeting? Did they have a meeting at Smith?
They did. I missed it though. I had it. My kids were sick, so it makes it difficult.
Anybody in the chat? Billy Mitchell. Do you guys have your meeting?
We've had one meeting.
And how?
I wasn't there. I wasn't able to attend.
I was at 7:45 and it was hard for me to be there at that time.
So the meeting times are
Yeah,
too early for
yeah, it's too.
parents too.
Yes, because I had other kids to drop. So then it's a little bit later. I know in my, they have like a poll where they put the times, which, puedo decirlo en español, ¿verdad?
Sí, sí.
Okay, yo sé que hubo cuando fue el open house de mi escuela Anderson, hubo un survey para poner las horas con los padres que se les podía facilitar, pero nunca fue publicado cuál fue el más favorable para todos los padres, o no supe, no sé si habrá sido el de 7:45, por eso es que debe haber muchos padres a esa hora, tal vez, que puedan, no sé, es algo que sí me gustaría saber. Pero se me hizo
Everybody,
difícil.
someone translate.
No, I speak Spanish.
You do?
Yeah.
More friends who don't.
Yeah, yeah. So she just said that there was a survey done at Anderson, the beginning of the school year, where, you know, what time frame is best to have these meetings, and 7:45 was an option, but they weren't informed about the results, so she's guessing that's what, you know, the turnout was, but yeah, the communication there.
That's a very good question. Ask your administration. Could we see the results? I mean, it is a balancing act because the principal has to get their staff there and their parents there, right? So
Yeah.
trying to find a happy medium can be challenging. However, if you're an elected school site council member, it has to fit so that you can go. I mean, it's open to all parents. And so if I'm not an officer or I'm not an elected member and I'd like to go, that's a nice to have that I could be there, but my officers kind of have to be there. So you have to work that out together, and it is challenging. And we've seen some sites have had success with making the meetings hybrid. So some people are in person, some are on Zoom, some have gone totally Zoom, some like it in person. It really depends on your site. But I mean, if you're an elected officer, you have to be able to come. So you need to have that conversation.
Yeah, I remember it being difficult for me at Rogers because it was the same time as DPAC and.
Well, and that's why this year I did try. I made sure all the sites have our meeting calendar so that they would not schedule their meetings at the same time as these meetings. Is that 100% successful? I'm not sure, but it's better than last year because I got in front of it and said, you know, if I don't tell you when the meetings are, it's hard to schedule around them. So I put all the principals on the invite so they could see it, so they could schedule around it.
That'd be
We
great.
have some.
Is there a way parents can have that calendar?
Sorry.
Can parents have access to that calendar as well? Of when the meetings?
The DLAC and DPAC meetings, you know, thank you. We did hand them out at the volunteer fair. We did have paper copies, but we haven't posted it necessarily online. So we have a lot of things. I'm so glad Liliana's here. We have many things to communicate, so we can put that on there. Thank you.
And to that like further point, is there, I mean, again, all the communication piece is getting built, right? And you just came, so it's not like you can build a whole thing, especially with a new website, immediately, right? Like you're only one person. But is there a way to have a Google Calendar? I imagine like you guys use Google Calendar, but if there was a public Google Calendar, right, that again can be sent out, because I find, again, my life I live on Google Calendar. Actually, my phone just died. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing next. But again, I think that too would help, because if it has reminders, has those things, and the same thing, right? If it could be put into Parent Square or right, then we can see it there in the short term. And that again, I think would be super helpful for us.
So our Google Calendar, the Family University Google Calendar, has all the DLAC, DPAC meetings. It is available on the LSD website, but I know it can be a little confusing as to where to find it. So we can definitely make that a little bit easier for you. In terms of Parent Square, the calendar for your schools are actually connected to not only the Family University calendar, also to your school's public calendar. So you should be seeing all the DPAC, DLAC meetings on that calendar. And again, we can also make that a little bit easier for you, kind of teach you how to use it. I know that's one of the questions we have is how do you use Parent Square, right? So we are working to try to schedule a parent meeting, either in person or a hybrid or something where parents who are interested and want to learn more can come in. But we do have that available. So, you know, I understand it's not as clear, but we can definitely help to make that a little more clear.
We have some comments on the chat from Griselda Vigil. It says, would it be possible to get the dates for all future SSC meetings? So I can plan meetings, so I can plan accordingly to attend. I attended the first SSC meeting at Billy Mitchell. It went great. This was the space I and another parent brought up to the opportunity for LESD to consider community schools grant funding. This resulted in the email that Stephanie and I sent to Julie Kane. And then Stephanie Ruiz, she says, Anderson SSC is being held at 10:45 a.m. to accommodate teachers. And then we have Griselda again, she says, you can use PSQ to link your school Google Calendar and then parents can connect to it.
So can I answer the first part? So for what we could do is on our main website, also add a list of all the meeting dates. So that at least you have them all in one place in case, you know, you don't see on the calendar, because sometimes, you know, we move things around or there can be little glitches, right? So we can definitely create a list with all the meeting dates. That way parents can print it out and do what they need to do with it.
I also know that I know most CLs, we added on our newsletter, on our school newsletter that goes out every Thursday. There's future dates on the site and committees. We usually put the dates of all the meetings there. So just in case for reference for anybody, and we do SSC, DPAC, DLAC, ELAC, like whatever is going on. So you can also view the dates there, newsletter.
So you mentioned we're in the process of doing like a workshop for parents so they understand how to use Power Square, you said?
Parent Square.
I mean, Parent Square.
So we've been doing presentations at the coffee, with the
Coffee.
principals, but we know not all parents can attend. So we're trying to figure out something at a district level that we can invite all parents who are interested in learning a little bit more, both virtually and in person. So hopefully we can get that soon. Right now, we're in the process of wrapping up our teacher training. So our teachers have been trained, but we're following up with their teachers just to make sure, you know, they're 100% confident in, you know, in all the features. So we're almost done. I think we still have a couple more schools to go, but once we're able to wrap that up, we're gonna have a parent training. Hopefully here at the district, or maybe we can figure out how to do it at different sites so it can be easier for parents.
To your point, Julie, about the meetings, we should talk to the principal if we want like hybrid meetings. Like again, our last SC meeting, I couldn't go in person, but I would have been able to make it online, or parents who are dropping off multiple kids at multiple sites, right? At least could maybe listen in the car. So that's something we talked to our principal about.
Absolutely. I mean, we're in
That was a question I had as well. I agree. There's like I have 3 different kids at 3 different schools, so it would be a lot easier to participate if there was just the option. And I know you guys have a lot going on. Sunny
we
has
learned, like in this meeting, there are more of you online than there are here, right? So we've learned that we have to adapt. And if we want your participation, we have to make it so that people who can or want to come in person can, and those who can't can still get the information. So, and it's been rocky. You've all watched us as we've eked forward in our technological understanding of how this works, but I think we finally got it. But it takes a team. I mean, Brenda is our mastermind. We've got Brenda, we have Scott from Tech who's helping us. We have 4 community liaisons here managing the chat and doing things. It's not easy. So give your principals some grace in knowing that they can't just turn it, you know, flip a switch and suddenly we're hybrid. It's a learning curve. It's a learning curve. So I recommend you ask for it and then maybe ask to help. Like, how can we help? How can we partner? You know, I'm really good at running them. I could run the Zoom from my house. If you let me, I'm joining. And then you can be in person. That's fine. You know, there's ways we can help each other. So just try to be creative in how we can accommodate and get more of our folks access to the meetings and to information using the tools and the skills that we have.
We have another hand raised. Go ahead, Griselda.
Yeah, I just going back to the calendar comment. So you can subscribe to your school's calendar. And I've noticed that at least my school's calendar for Billy Mitchell isn't constantly updated. So I'm a parent who's really trying to use Parent Square, but if it's not being constantly updated, I don't see it. I don't see the dates coming through. It just doesn't make it very easy for me to use because now I'm digging around and looking for other places. So just the suggestion of schools just really using it. This is also coming from, I manage also Parent Square at my school district. So just also thinking about that piece of just to be able to get parents to start using it, you need to be using it constantly and just continuously updating, because at the moment I'm still looking for things and I see things that are changing for the district-wide calendar, but I don't see things changing for the school site level calendar. So that's the suggestion that I have.
If there was a glitch or something, because my calendar won't allow the alerts on my iPhone. Like I have to constantly go back and undo the block on the alert. So I don't know if anybody knew that was happening, but I agree with you. Thank you.
Sounds like we have some super users from Parent Square that we can tap into for guidance. So thank you for sharing those tips.
Message in the chat from Gianna Trujillo. En español dice, ya vamos a terminar una parte del año escolar y Rogers no ha tenido ningún meeting. DPAC, SSC, ¿cómo poder saber qué está pasando cuando al parecer no quieren padres involucrados en la escuela?
So the comment is about Rogers not having had an SSC or ELAC, and I just want to clarify, Rogers has a combined ELAC and school site council. It meets as one meeting, and that is allowable and that is done. And they actually have met this year because they approved their school plan. So I think there might be a communication breakdown here because it did happen. So Giovanna, I encourage you to check in with your principal because I know for a fact that it did happen because I oversee that. But I'm concerned that you're not informed. So we can work on that.
More question, comment?
What I'm walking away with is communication. If we can get our communications improved, it will unlock a lot of things for us as a community. So wonderful. Thank you. That will not go unresolved. Like I said, we have a power hitter over here. We have some teams that can help us work on this.
So now we'll move on to our goals for this year and next year.
So I'm wondering, and I had left that intentionally blank to fill in as we were talking. I'm also being very mindful of time, that it's 9:58. 2 minutes is not an adequate amount of time to bring your goals. So may I suggest that at our next meeting, that's where we open and you go back to your SSCs and you come back with reports, because we didn't give you a heads up that this is what we'd be talking about. So I could call that homework for this group to go back and collect that information. I mean, I hear a big goal, improve communication. So I can take that back as a district-wide and at the school site. And by improving communications, the communications might be there. It's just we haven't informed you of them, or we haven't trained parents on them, or we haven't connected. I just heard a new term today, Google Q, something you said. Griselda, I'm sure Liliana understood the language you said. It went right over my head, but clearly I have some learning to do. But we can start on that right now. Like we've got our marching orders. We hear you. And I'm sorry, Dan, I'm talking fast again. I slow down.
We have another question. Carol, where can one see this recorded meeting from the beginning? She missed that first half.
Thank you. So when the meeting is done, part of the job of our community liaisons is one is recording in Spanish on the Spanish channel where Dan has been interpreting. One is recording the English channel, and we will upload those to our LESD YouTube page within 24 hours. that gets posted. So you can go there. We can also communicate that by sending out a blast saying, hey, did you miss our meeting? You can find it here. And so we can work on that as well. But they are there and you can watch the whole, you can, pour yourself a big cup of coffee and you can watch hours of meetings. We have them going back since we started doing our Zoom meetings. So there's quite a few and they're there for you to watch and learn about what's been happening. We want it available to everybody.
And Maylet happens to know when the Anderson next SSC meeting is. She says November 6th from 7:45 a.m.
Okay, and maybe that's a conversation at Anderson. Maybe the time is immovable because of staff and whatever. But maybe could we hybridize it? I'm making up a new word. Could we hybridize it so that others who can't be there or who are driving doing pickup could at least listen and be informed? I think that would be a nice compromise, right? Because it's hard. We can't make everybody's schedule work, but that's the best we can do in the middle. Speaking of, you read my mind. Speaking of advertising dates, we can at least tell you when these next meetings are.
Our next DLAC is November 29th, our DPAC November 30th, and DPAC December 13th. So we'll see you all next meeting. And thank you for joining us on Zoom and in person. And I hope you guys come back to all the other meetings and attend your SSC meetings and DLAC meetings. Thank you. Turn it off. Close it.